Hey everyone, so Fat Loss Academy is back in session, and today I'm going to talk to you about my 5 favourite fat loss power tools. Alright, so yes, nutrition is really important when it comes to fat loss, but I want to talk to you about training techniques. So that's what I mean by tools in your arsenal to help you achieve the goal of fat loss when you're in the gym, and power tools because they're pretty damn powerful. So I'm going to show you some of my favourites. Maybe you've heard them before, maybe you haven't. Let's have a little look. Alright, so we're going to kick things off with my favourite one. It's time under tension training. Time and time again, this always helps my clients and trainees all over the world improve their gains, whether it's fat loss or even muscle building, because time under tension is such an amazing principle. What most people do when they go to the gym is they get driven by their egos and they do fast, sloppy reps with no time under tension. Time under tension means the amount of time that the muscle is shortening or lengthening or being held in a static position during a set. So what we tend to do is we move the weights fast, we don't get much time under tension. We move the weights more slowly and more controlled, we get more time under tension. Time under tension is in itself a stimulus to growth. So the more muscle we can grow, the more fat we can burn. So these things go hand in hand, hence it's an amazing fat loss power tool. But also, the more time under tension we get in our workouts, the more lactic acid we'll produce, which is why people don't like training like this, because it kind of hurts, sorry. We get more growth hormone production with a greater lactic acid response within the body. And as we know, growth hormone is a great fat mobilizing hormone. So everyone's a winner. Get time and attention into your workouts. That's our first fat loss power tool. Boom. Alright, so coming in at number 2 on my list of 5 is superset training. Now I know you guys all know what a superset is, and you'll know that it means training one body part and then going straight to a different body part and training it straight away. So it's basically 2 sets back to back. Why is this a fat loss power tool? Couple of reasons. When you start using supersets in your workout, you'll find that you get a lot more volume into your workout for the same amount of time. So effectively your work capacity is increasing during your workout. So that has to be a good thing, right? Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to burn as many calories as possible. So superset training allows you to get more done. Another amazing thing that superset training does is that if we do it right, we can actually get like a bit of a peripheral heart action in the body. So if we superset a lower body part with an upper body part, which is pretty damn tiring sometimes, the heart has to work really hard to pump blood from up and down the body. We call this a peripheral heart action, and that kind of stuff can lead to some pretty solid results and really get your metabolic rate boosted. Maybe not quite as useful for pure bodybuilding at the end of the day, but we're talking about fat loss, conditioning, and all that kind of stuff. I think supersets are a winner. They're at number 2. Give it a go. Right, number 3 on the fat loss power tools list is Metcons. What the hell's a Metcon? Metcon stands for metabolic conditioning. So metabolic, kind of like the clues in the title there, it's got to do with your metabolism. The idea with Metcons is a type of training that's specifically designed to get your metabolic rate up. And things that get your metabolic rate up are usually high rep in nature, short rests, compound exercises, and potentially functional movements and bits of cardio. Sound a bit like CrossFit? Yeah, CrossFit's basically like Metcon training. So a good example of Metcon training other than CrossFit would be doing things like modified strongman training, certain types of circuit training, or basically just mixing together nice big compound exercises in 4 or 5 or 6 long circuits. This is a fat loss power tool because if you do Metcon training or metabolic conditioning style training for an hour, you will die after that hour. So maybe do it for about 40 minutes because it's pretty damn tiring. I've done it myself, and you'll see why CrossFitters tend to only do like 20-minute long WODs, because after about 20 minutes of this style of training, you're basically ready to go home on a stretcher. So I'm not joking, give it a try. Number 3 on the list, Metcons, fat loss power tool. Number 4 on the list, wow, it's HIIT training. Jim, you're so clever, I've never heard of that before. What's HIIT training? It sounds amazing. Okay, so you've heard of HIIT training a million times and you've read about it in Men's Health, and everybody knows that HIIT training is really awesome for getting in shape. But let's have a little bit of a look at why it's so awesome and what makes it a fat loss power tool particularly, and how did it get to number 4 instead of number 1. So HIIT training is essentially not that different to weight training. We have phases of work and phases of rest, and then we repeat. So it's work, rest, work, rest. The thing about HIIT training is essentially simplified, and the work-rest ratios are usually predetermined and continued for a set amount of time. So a good example would be, you sit on the rower and you go as hard as you can for 30 seconds, and then you coast along for 30 seconds. So that's a 1-to-1 work-rest ratio. Whilst that 30 seconds is happening, you are in a nasty little lactic acid threshold. You're in your glycolytic energy system. You're burning lactic acid, your legs are on fire, that burns loads of carbs, and then basically your body gets a bit of an afterburn effect from that kind of training. Kind of similar to the stuff up here. The only thing is that I put this at number 4 because although it's great at elevating your metabolic rate, this HIIT training, and it can be nice and varied, it's not that great at building muscle. So inherently, because muscle and fat loss go hand in hand, it's a little bit further down the list. But certainly if you could only use HIIT training to try and get lean, and you used a variety of different bits of equipment and cardio machines and different work-rest ratios, I would suggest that HIIT training is certainly a fat loss power tool, and you should definitely give it a go if you're not already. Alright, so number 5 on my list, last but not least, maybe a bit of a wild card as some of you might be concerned, plyometric training. So what is plyometric training? In short, it's a type of power and speed training where we rely on the stretch reflexes of the muscles to create short, fast bursts of power. Basically what's happening is when we do plyometric training, we're tapping into much more higher threshold muscle fibers than we might be doing on something like time and attention training, which predominantly probably targets type 1 fibers, because type 1 fibers are essentially what we would attack when we do a more of a volume approach to our training. So long sets and high reps is volume stuff, that's a bit more type 1 fibers. But something like plyometric training, which is fairly advanced, is certainly going to target your type 2A and type 2B fibers, which, like I said, are the higher threshold motor units. And if you can stimulate a broader cross-section of your muscle mass during your workout, there's obviously you're going to hit a slightly higher metabolic rate, you're going to get a better afterburn effect. So that's one of these things where I would say like adding variety into your workouts can really help with your fat loss. And like I said, it's all about getting your metabolic engine revved up. It's all about getting that EPOC effect. EPOC, E-P-O-C, stands for excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. It's the magic thing that makes resistance training great for fat loss. So whilst we're doing this, we might as well chuck in some type 2 fiber stimulation, and what better way to do some plyometric training. So I want you to think about things like doing box jumps, speed work, agility work, and also maybe things like jumping lunges. Alright, that'll be plyometrics. That's my number 5, fat loss power tool. That's my list. What do you reckon? Pretty good, give them a go. Let me know what you think. Alright then, so that was just a very short description of 5 of my favourite fat loss training systems. Didn't have much time to go into them into detail. If you want to find out more about each of these, and also a whole host of other fat loss training systems, then you can pre-register and enroll for my Fat Loss Academy, which is my private members site. So if you want to do this, in the description below you'll find a little link and you can basically pre-register, find out much more about it, get on the waiting list. So there you go. I hope you really enjoyed the video, and if you want more of this sort of...
hold on a sec, James. Sorry, you got a call.
Okay. Hello? Yeah. Sorry, you want to speak to who? All my non-subscribers. Okay. Yeah, they're a bit busy at the moment, and we're recording. Okay. Yeah, I can pass message on. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah, she says don't forget to subscribe. Something like that. Yeah. Okay. And the notifications bell. Yeah, and something about the notifications bell to get all my notifications. Something like that. All right. Yeah. Thanks. That's great. Awesome. Thank you. Random. Also, sorry about the interruption, if you're not following me on my other social media channels, then you should be, because they're awesome. It's James Alexander-Ellis, that's on Facebook, and it's the same on Instagram. Loads of awesome fat loss related content. So there you go, fat loss power tools. In the meantime, get on with them. Happy fat loss. See you next time.